Well, Nick DePaula's brand spanking new to ESPN was with Yahoo. We welcome him to the ESPN family here in the capital region, the 518. We're 104.5, the team ESPN Radio in Albany. And Nick DePaula now with ESPN and NiceKicks.com covers all these NBA shoe deals and branding of these athletes and a lot of different ways we could go with this. But we thank Nick for joining us here for a few minutes on Big Board Sports. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, Nick. Let's start with the baller. We just had a group of kids in here, all young kids at camp. They're getting a tour through our station, and I brought up Lonzo Ball, and they immediately brought up the sneakers. So whatever branding they have going on has hit home with kids probably 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, I mean, right out the gate, the frenzy and interest for not only just Lonzo, but the whole family and even the dad has been amazing to see. And it kind of just shows the kind of new landscape of media. All three brothers combined and the family, they have, I think, 5.5 million followers on Instagram combined. And so for kids that age, like you said, they're looking.
All right, we'll have a little bit of an issue here. We'll have to reconnect with Nick, perhaps not on a cell as a landline we can get to. Sometimes the cell phones do not work. Got him back, ESPN and NiceKicks.com. Nick, thanks for hanging through the cell phone break. I'm glad to have you back. My follow-up to you was, partner, how successful has the marketing been for the Big Baller, and how many sneakers are they selling?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, they did a unveil video with Slam basically to unveil the shoe earlier right before the draft. And that video got 7 million impressions, which is crazy to not even have to spend basically a marketing cost on that. And they've sold just under 1,000 pairs. So, as you were saying, to plunk down $500, hey, that's tough for any family to justify. Not only that, the shoes aren't shipping until November 24th. So you have to pay the $500 now, and get the shoes not even 6 months later.
So it might grow.
And again, this is a brand that's never made a shoe. So it's quite a leap of faith. And so right now the sales are just under 1,000 pairs, but for $500, that's not a bad number for them.
Nick, Chris Honorato up here with Rodger as well. I'm just kind of interested in your background a little bit. You're covering what I think a lot of people would say is such a specialized field without those people maybe understanding the impact really that branding of athletes has in sports. You went to University of Oregon, which, as we all know, brands like nobody else. Is that where you got your desire to cover NBA shoe deals or apparel deals in general?
I mean, University of Oregon Eugene was great because it's about 90 minutes south from Beaverton, where Nike's based. And Phil Knight, the founder, he went there, and a lot of other people from Nike did. But for me, I grew up in Sacramento, and so growing up with the Kings and just, being super excited to follow all the different players around the league, that's kind of where it started for me. And I've always just been curious about the business side of the game. And for shoes, a guy like Kevin Durant could make as much money from Nike as he does from his team deal. And so it's always kind of the pinnacle endorsement deal for guys. And the top signature athletes, they're all making $10+ million on a shoe deal. And so for a lot of guys too, that's where the most marketing and kind of branding for them comes from. You kind of remember Penny Hardaway, later on in his career, more so for his little penny ads with Nike than the 5-year spurt he had with the Magic. So it's always been interesting to me, and it's definitely a super specialized and niche kind of thing that I was getting after from a media standpoint. But it's going to be a new kind of frontier with ESPN to bring that to the fold.
Nick DePaula with us, was with Yahoo, now with the good guys here at ESPN and NiceKicks.com. How would you describe the branding of, we'll say, Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, Odell, actually, that was really interesting for him because he was on a Nike deal when he entered the league in the NFL, and obviously has been a huge star both on and off the court, or off the field rather. And his deal with Nike was just up. So, the way it works, it's kind of like restricted free agency. Adidas was really, excited to try and sign him and made a huge offer. His deal, I believe it's a 5-year deal for $28 million, and it could go as high as $48 million with different incentives. But Nike has a match clause, so they actually matched the deal. And for Odell, I mean, he's a huge crossover guy. There's a ton of kids that play basketball that, they still look up to him and have similar hairstyles and try to dress like him. And so he's not just a guy that, is specific to football. I think his marketing is, kind of transcends the sport. And so for Nike to kind of keep him back in the fold, they're going to do a ton of stuff with him and have him lead a lot of different cleats, a lot of different shoes, and really activate him not only in New York, but all around the world as well.
Can you market the tattoos as well?
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of market everything for him. I think it was kind of funny. One of our most popular posts on Instagram in the summer was Odell Beckham at a pool party dancing on the side of the pool, but he was wearing like an unreleased Air More Uptempo retro shoe that was all white. It was the first time people saw it in all white. People were going crazy, and it was like something as random as him dancing at a pool party, And so I think the funny thing with him is, and then some people kind of, give him flack for it too, but, whether he's on a yacht in Miami or at a pool party, like you kind of see him in all these off-court settings that kids think is cool and fun, and that's kind of the appeal for him. He's obviously a great player on the field, but has a great side of style and kind of off-court fun as well.
Nick, what do you make of Lonzo Ball almost kind of auditioning each brand of sneaker during the NBA Summer League after he debuted with the Big Baller brand? Do you think the Big Baller brand lives on? Do you think Lonzo Ball signs with one of the Nikes, Adidas, Under Armours?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think they're going to do a traditional deal and sign back with the brand. I think LeVar is looking for just way too much money and kind of an unprecedented structure where he wants a brand to actually acquire a Big Baller brand, which, there's just not that level of interest. But, he was basically passing on a 4 or a 5 year deal if he would have done a traditional deal that would have paid him around $2 to $2.5 million a year. So to basically turn down $10 million up front to do the Big Baller brand venture, that's not for everybody and takes a lot of guts, I guess. And so, I think the one thing that's tough is for Big Baller brand, it's their first time making a shoe, and he's basically playing in the prototypes only a couple months into the process. And so if the shoe is not performing up to his standards, I don't think we should give them that hard of a time. I mean, that happens to Nike and Adidas all the time where they have like a 5-month wear testing process that they put all their shoes through. So, if the shoes weren't holding up on the court, it was really smart how they did it to just basically switch every night. And it kind of showed two things was, A, he was a great player and was really exciting to watch. I don't think we've ever seen this kind of an interest in Summer League. Usually Summer League's pretty low key, relative to NBA games. And then B, just the interest he was able to generate every night. I mean, in real time on Twitter and Instagram, like people were following, what was he going to wear that night? And so, it did kind of show the brands that you could kind of have that level of influence and interest. But long term, I think they're going to stick with the plan and just try to get the shoes right and have him in Big Baller brand shoes throughout the whole season.
Nick, who has the best? I mean, my kid has Kyrie's. They were only a couple hundred.
Yeah, I was listening along as you were saying how it sounded like you did a Nike ID version, which Nike does a great job in terms of letting you customize and pick your colors and add your number and stuff like that. Kyrie actually had the fastest selling shoe throughout the season, and his Kyrie 3 was really successful. Prior to that, Steph Curry had a great season prior when he was winning MVP back-to-back, and then this last year he kind of struggled, but there was a lot of interest in his shoe that he debuted during the finals this year. And then LeBron and Kevin Durant are the other two, of course, that have been moving the needle and selling shoes really well. But going forward, Kyrie and Paul George's line just got kicked off, and if he were to end up on the Lakers, it'd be interesting to see how that could ramp up for him, because both Kyrie and PG are kind of the two guys that Nike's really excited about going forward that have been doing really well for them.
I'm checking out the website, nicekicks.com. I don't play hoops anymore, Nick. I'm old. But the Nike LeBron 14 low ice, man, I'm gonna get a pair of those just to walk around the house. Those things are beautiful. How many pairs of sneakers do you own?
Oh man, you know what? I hate answering this question because it's quite a bunch, but I'm actually like right around 800 pairs, which is totally ridiculous, obviously. So
800?
Yeah. So I mean, I still play ball all the time, and to this day, it's awesome. I get sent shoes here and there to play in, which is great. And then I still probably buy way too many shoes for my mom's liking and stuff like that. So I've got a ton, and I live out in Portland, and so I've got like a whole basement of shoes, and it's something I've always kind of, obviously loved and kind of collected, and it's something that definitely spiraled out of control a long time ago.
I'm almost speechless.
That's awesome.
I don't have any thought. That's a perfect way to end this phenomenal interview. Nick, we appreciate a few minutes. Good stuff from you, and congrats on your move to ESPN.
Hey, I really appreciate it. I'm actually driving up to Bristol right now, so it should be exciting to get things rolling, and thanks for having me on.
You got it, man. Take
Thanks,
care.
Nick.